Well, hello and welcome back to the Tao Manifesting Tarot. This is the tarot reading for serious-minded people. People who want to take a look at the present and the future with a clear and critical eye. They don't want all this kind of fluff and stuff that you normally get in tarot readings. I've done tarot for over 20 years, and in the 20 years I have never ever seen tarot predict anything of significance. Once in a while, may luck onto something. But it really is not a tool for prediction. It is a tool of potential. It is the science of potential. That's what tarot is. You have to get involved. You got to get connected. You can't just sit back and go, oh, well, here's the frequency and leave it at that. The energy will pass by. Then you've lost the opportunity. Now, here's where it gets a little tricky, because you get 10 people in a room, let's just say. I don't care whether you're doing a tarot reading, astrology reading, numerology reading. By the way, numerology and astrology I've done over 50 years. Okay? Not combined. I'm an old fart. I've been around for a little bit. I find that numerology and astrology are science of cycles. If you know the cycle, and I'll talk about that in a second, you can kind of figure out what the energy is. You may or may not be able to get a specific event, but you know what the energy is and you can extrapolate from there. With tarot, it is the potential. Here you got the frequency. How do you match to the frequency? Well, out of 10 people, one, maybe two will resonate. The other 8 or 9, no, not so much. That's okay. I do a brand new read every day, 365, holidays, whatever, doesn't matter. At my age, my goal is to inspire you. I want to inspire you to use your imagination so that you can manifest, because manifesting is the one advantage that humans have over robots. And that's saying something. I know they talk about artificial intelligence. I think largely artificial intelligence, as it's being sold to us right now, is bullshit. I think it's just a bunch of data that they're gathering in every way that they can. Every time you get on your phone, every time you get on a computer, they're gathering information, and then they're going to try to make sense out of that spaghetti. But they want to convince us that that's thinking. So they're going to line up algorithms with this data so that it kind of mimics. But according to the people who know the most about robotics, no, they're not. Robotics are not prescient. They're not self-aware. They cannot manifest yet. So that's our advantage. So that's why manifesting is so powerful. It takes a single frequency and distills it. You decide whether or not it fits. If it doesn't, don't worry about it. I'm here tomorrow, next week, next month. Don't worry. The frequency and you will line up. When it does, green light, run like hell. Go like hell, because if you don't use it, you lose it. Simple as that. Okay? But that's how that whole thing works. Now, I mentioned a little bit ago about numerology and astrology being a science of cycles. And that's very, very true, because that's what they are. Let me just give you an idea. Right now, we've seen the two farthest planets, Pluto and Neptune, kind of doing a dance with one another. They touch every 500 years, or in the parlance of astrology, they conjunct, they touch. They're in the same spot, same sign, same degree, every 500 years. And you will find that when you look back and start comparing now, 500 years back, you find similar energies. For example, let's just kind of take a real quick view. We're a little bit past that exact connection, that touching of Pluto and Neptune. That happened around 1900, a little bit before 1900. Still, they're in aspect to one another. It's a sextile, but I'm not going to get too much into the astrological lingo. We'll just, they're in that 500-year cycle. Started about 1890, somewhere in there. But let's just round it off, put it to 1900, and you go back, and you go back, and you go back. We find that they're just getting ready to touch in 1314. Pluto-Neptune touching in 1314. What happens? The Battle of Bannockburn. What's that? Robert Bruce gets independence for Scotland. And it starts a dynasty that lasts almost 500 years. Remember Robert the Bruce, Freedom for Scotland? Yeah, that was a Neptune-Pluto touching. Around that same period, too, Black Death. It arrives in England, killing over a third of the population. It brought down the feudal system. Now, we've had a little scrape with some sort of Black Death sort of a situation back a few years ago, but Bill Gates has promised a black swan, something that could, he says, wipe out 95% of the population. Same kind of energy. 1362, the English becomes the official language in the courts of law, so we see that English now begins to take an upper position. And in that same period, we had the Peasants' Rebellion, led by Wat Tyler. I don't know where that was, whether it was in England, certainly in Europe, but 1381, the peasants revolted. There was a rebellion. You see those energies? You see those energies being repeated? And Neptune is getting ready to be in about the same spot as it enters Aries, March the 30th. It's going to hang around till fall and then go backwards retrograde, and then it'll come back in next year, and it will stay there for about 14 years. So you're going to see through the summer the same ideas that I've been giving you about independence, about major changes, maybe even the repeat of the Black Death somehow, some way. Who knows? Anyway, the last time Neptune was in Aries was right around the Civil War. We know how historical it was, cultural shifts. Things really began to change. Additionally, though, what we don't know is that Germany unified, Italy unified. New national identities, bold leadership. And people got more spiritual, more religious, mystical things, including astrology and that sort of stuff, tarot, became popular. You see this happening in society again today. So I say, if you understand the cycles, there is a predictive quality. What you can't do with tarot is predict. What you can do is latch on to the energy. And today, the middle card is building blocks. Sort of feels that way, doesn't it? Sort of feels that way. That's what's going on right now. I know some people see it as a destruction, but you gotta, if you're going to renovate any kind of a building, you got to tear it down to studs to rebuild it. You got to do it. If you're going to do it right, you got to do it right from the studs up. And that's, I kind of feel what's going, that's the potential. It's not a guarantee. That's why I'm giving this current administration between now and July the 4th, 2026, the 250th anniversary of the United States of America, July 4, 2026. I'm giving them that long to take care of the middle class and the poor in America. I don't give a damn about the rich. I don't care if the rich left the country. In fact, I'd prefer that they did. Yeah, it would create hard times for Americans, but Americans can handle hard times. And if that meant that we had to strip things down to the structure to rebuild, let's go for it. Pluto, Neptune. Remember I read about the things, right? Robert the Bruce, the formation of Germany and Italy, new thoughts, new ideas. Here's the meme for today. People don't want to hear this, but words not matching actions is called manipulation. And refusing to be held accountable is called gaslighting. That's what we had in the last administration. In fact, for a long, long time. You know, you can go back to Mark Twain, who talks about politicians and says it better than anybody I've ever heard in my lifetime. He says, politicians are like diapers. You got to change them often and for the same reason. It's true. It's true. Politicians, generally speaking, with very few exceptions, are spineless creatures. So if the words don't match the actions, they're manipulating you. They're gaslighting you. And when the words do match the actions, whoa, people scream all kinds of things. But the fact of the matter is, it's not gaslighting, it's not manipulation. This is what we have to do. This is why we have to do it. You understand it. Let's get to it. Going to be a little difficult because you're going to be changing things. But again, remember the stuff that I read from the 1300s. Freedom, independence, formations. New way of doing things, looking at worlds through a spiritual kind of a vehicle. Sort of what we're going through right now, because we're finding out the materialism, it don't deliver on the promise. And things are getting a whole lot worse for a whole lot more people. So we got to do it from scratch. We got to get the building blocks, rebuild, retool, and that's going to be a little bit difficult. Very difficult for some. Too bad. Let's go all the way to the left. We got the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune is destiny. It's a turning point. It's an awakening. Gives you the big picture. And that's really what you need at this point. And that's why I did the stuff with the Neptune. Going back at the beginning of a cycle back started in the 1300s. And then going back to the Civil War. And that's kind of what we're going through right now. This whole idea of a restructuring and focusing more on the spiritual, mystical side rather than leaning strictly on the materialistic side. Because the materialism has failed. Always will, by the way, especially if it's capitalism, because capitalism eats its young. Stop and think about the point of capitalism. Make all the money that you can. No responsibility. You're not accountable to anybody. All you got to do is make as much as you can. And the people who force those laws are the people who have all the resources to begin with, so you lose. It's their monopoly board. They set the rules, and it won't work in your favor. So we got to rebuild. We got to rebuild from scratch. We're talking about building blocks. And the Wheel of Fortune will allow you to see the bigger picture. What is it that we're working for? Am I 100% convinced that the people in Washington right now are going to make the difference? No, but I'm hoping. I have a lot of hope, not a lot of faith. We'll see. I don't want to be gaslighted. If you're going to say it, do it. So far, so good, but still early. Nevertheless, we go to the next card, and it is my favorite card in the tarot. It is the Fool card, but the way you're seeing it right now is in reverse. This is a deck that has, both sides have pictures. This is the reverse. This is what you're hoping for, like the Fool. He's looking out there, he's seeing the shooting star. He's carrying very little with him because he realizes that the more things he has, the more baggage he carries, and he does not want maximum baggage. Emotional, spiritual, physical, just doesn't want the baggage. Strip down to the basics. Hold your head up. Pray, envision, manifest. That's what he does. I love this card. So once you get to the Wheel of Fortune, you get to see the big picture. Now you begin to step, and you're thinking about that. How am I going to step into the future? A little difficult right now because we have a new administration, new things going into play. They're encouraging, but they haven't been around long enough to really see what it will do. That's, again, why I'm giving this administration about a year and a half. July 4, 2026, 250th anniversary of the United States of America. I want to see what they can do. If they deliver, great. If they don't, I'll be willing to throw them out, and we'll do something else. Because I'm tired of being gaslighted. I'm tired of being beaten in the ground and then being called all sorts of names. Not into it. When the game's rigged, let's call it. Then we can fix the game. Next card is the Two of Cups. Twos always our decision. Cups has to do with emotion. Can be negative, can be positive, can be a person, thing, place, idea. But the Two of Cups talks about connection, trust, attraction. You're trying to attract into your life a more loving, emotionally supportive environment. It doesn't have to be with a single person, but it means, if the game's rigged, let's call it rigged, and then let's fix it. I'm not expecting a perfect life. I'm not expecting everything to go my way. I'm not expecting everyone to agree with me or any of that stuff, but give me a fair shot, an honest shot. That's what America's all about, right? And that's what life should be. And so if we can do it here, maybe we can spread it to the rest of the world. You never know. Again, keep in mind the Fool. Look at the shooting star. Hope, believe, manifest something better. It's time. That's what the Wheel of Fortune says. It's time. And the final card is the Six of Pentacles. Pentacles are values, our value system, really. And we're seeing at this point that what we've been told is valuable is bullshit. Absolute patent. It's been around for thousands of years. And the people who decide what is valuable are the people who have the resources. Oh, well, we got gold, so gold is important. We have big cars, so big cars are important. Oh, we got real estate, so real estate's important. They're controlling it. They call the shots. It's their monopoly board. They decide what is and what is not. So what the Six of Pentacles is calling for is reciprocity, abundance, charity. Not only with others, but with yourself. It's easy in a system that's rigged that you only recently have been finding out that it is rigged. It's very easy to blame yourself. They do it all the time. They call you names. They put you down. But it's all a lie. It's all gaslighting. So where we are right now, and I showed you again the astrology to talk about the energy. It's being repeated. We're starting from scratch. We're putting in the building blocks or lining them up right now for something new. But this is essential and important. You have to manifest the kind of future that you want because you're part of the solution. You're not part of the problem. You're part of the solution. So this is resonating with you. Get off your ass. You have a responsibility to yourself, but to the rest of the world. You can be that one candle that shines the light on another candle, which shines the light on two other candles, which shines the light on four other candles. You get the idea? I mean, you see what's happened with this administration since they've gotten in. Boy, countries from all around the world have kind of just locked in on it and cleaned up. You can do the same thing in your life without the force. You can be the example. Building blocks. Do it from scratch. You got your chance. That's the reading for today. Back again tomorrow with another Tao Manifested Tarot reading. By the way, thanks for checking in every day. I really appreciate it. I don't say it nearly enough, but you make my day. You make my life. Thanks. Back again tomorrow with another Tao Manifested reading. Hope you're here with me, of course. Between now and the next time we get together, peace and blessings.